these things, like I said, can sound like they're a little deep when it comes to being happy, but to me, that's the shit that matters. The deep shit to be happy. Because I'm like, I can say anything. Because think about it. Happiness is like, it's like a state of being, a mindset. It's not something you can go out and actually get. Because you can be rich as hell, have everything you want, have the partner you want, the marriage you want, the kids you want, the house you want, and still be unhappy. And the reason being is because you haven't gone through the shit on this list that I'm telling you about. The deep shit. You haven't got to the root of it. You're trying to get things to cover up what you're feeling, thinking it's going to make you happy. It's going to make you happy. But the more and more you get, you're just still unhappy because you haven't got to the root of things.
Excuse me, can I please talk to you for a minute?
Hey girlfriends, and to everybody else, what up YouTube? Welcome back to another podcast episode. I'm your girl, Kindall D, and today we're going to be talking about how to be happier now. Alright, so I'm not really sure of how many tips that I have. I know I have a lot, and so by the time you see this, whatever it says on the thumbnail, then that's how many is going to be in this episode. I'm going to count them down, and then by the end, that's when I put it in the thumbnail. So y'all excuse me. Because what happened is that, as I was thinking of notes for this, it took me a while. I've decided, before I get into that, I've decided that the podcast is just going to be uploaded when I have the mindset, when I'm ready for it, when I have the content that I want to share, when I have what I want to say. Because I'm realizing that it doesn't just come to me. I know what I want to say, but it takes me time to convey it in a way, so to speak, if that makes sense, of how I'm going to do it, trying to get myself ready. And so, y'all, I was trying to do it every Sunday, but I mean, it's going to now be when I have it ready. Now, we'll continue to have Kindall Says every Friday. Well, on Fridays, as long as I have something to talk about. Like, sometimes I don't get anything to talk about until the last minute. So, who knows? But I'm going to try to be a little more consistent. But just bear with me and know that the podcasts are going to keep coming. I'm going to try to not go longer than a week and a half without posting one. So, there we go. And it's not going to be on Sundays. It's going to be just anytime I edit it, finish it, and drop it. So, yeah. That I got that housekeeping out the way. The following is going to be about how to be happier now. Meaning not when you get that job, not when you become a millionaire, not when you get that man, that husband, that partner, whoever you're looking for. How to be happy like right now in the state that you're in. So I'm going to go over some things that has helped me and the ways that has helped me. Because I totally get it. If you're having difficulties being happier right now, it could be a lot going on. But me, I've always find some type of way to be happy regardless. Or if I'm in a funk, I don't try to stay there. So I'm going to try to give everything that I have into this to help you be able to be the same. So let's just get into it. So the first one is, and these are in no particular order. The first one is one of my favorite ones. It's enjoying the simple things and finding gratitude in the small things. So I feel that more than likely that there are a few things, or a lot of things possibly around you that actually bring you happiness. But since they're small and not exactly what you're looking for, you're not realizing how it's making you happy, or you're forgetting to stop and be grateful for what you do have, because more than likely you have prayed for what you do have, you just haven't realized it. So what I mean by this that has helped me is that sometimes you have to just stop and slow down and literally smell the roses. Now I know you may have heard this before, like show gratitude, 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 and all of that. There's always something to be thankful for, even if it's small. So why is this like important to do? The thing is, you're not going to be, well, I don't want to say you're not going to be blessed. It's okay. Here it is. It's harder to attract what you're wanting if you're in a state of not ready to receive it, meaning you're in a disgruntled state, you're upset, you're bitter, you're angry, you're hurt. And all of these feelings are okay. I'm not trying to say that you should not be feeling this, but the goal is to, of course, heal through that so that you can be in a state of receiving it. And by doing that, it can help to find the joy and the happiness in the small things. So let me explain a little better what I mean about how being in this state allows you to attract what you're really wanting and attract more. Say, for example, if you're out there in the dating scene or whatnot, you're not going to go to the person that is over there looking mean, like they don't believe in love, like they hate love, like they don't want to have anything to do with love. Like, you're not going to be attracted to that person, or you're not going to be like, I want to talk to them. No. So think about it in the sense of you attracting what you want and attracting more of what you want. Like, you're not going to get more if you're not even happy in the state that you're in. Because think about it. The more and more you get, you're still not going to be happy with it because you can't even be happy in what you have now. And let me explain that further. So, I'll be honest. I had, for a moment, I got caught up in what I do want. When you're so focused on what you actually do want and you're wanting more, it's okay to want to elevate. But when you're so focused on that, you can forget that you are elevated. You forget that there are small steps being made. And what I mean is, like, for example, I was getting upset about not upset, I was feeling a little defeated in my journey with being an influencer, content creator, my coaching that I do. The whole thing is a business. I felt like it wasn't where I wanted to be at, and I would be depressed and unhappy about it. And then I realized that, okay, I need to pull myself up out of this so that I can keep on moving forward. And what I decided to do was, let me stop and focus on what has been happening. Let me compare my now to where I was at about a year or so ago. And that helped me to be more grateful for where I'm at. And I realized that, damn, I really have a lot of the things that I've prayed for, a lot of the things that I've been manifesting, a lot of the things that I've been really wanting. They're here. But I was too busy focused on, what I don't have and what I really want. And so I started being happy where I'm at now with that. Meaning that a year ago or so from today, I was not making any money doing what I'm doing. Like, $0. I did not have this office that I have, and I really always wanted. And so I'm like, Kindall, you are on the right track. You are actually going towards what you want. It's just not going to all happen at once. So since it's not going to all happen at once, if you take the time to slow down and smell the word roses, so to speak, and just take your time and find gratitude in each and every small thing that you can, I promise you it's going to add up. It sounds so cliche. It does, but I implemented that into my own life to see how it worked. And once you actually are intentional about it, you would find that it works. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to be over the moon, thrilled, and happy. It takes time and it takes intention. So you can keep an actual gratitude journal. You can write down the small things you're happy for. Whether it's, I'm happy for sunny days. I'm happy for if I have a post and it did well. I'm happy to keep on doing what I'm doing and keep getting paid for what I'm doing. I'm happy with my dogs. I'm happy to see them happy. And a lot of things. I'm happy to eat good food sometimes. Not saying you got to overindulge. I'm just saying. I'm just being real. Find things that you can be happy about now. And so, let's move on into number 2. Number 2, don't force things. Don't force a damn thing. Don't force anything. Don't force relationships. That means friendships as well. Don't force a job that you really want to pick you and choose you. If it ain't working, it ain't working. Don't force yourself to stay there either. Don't force yourself to do anything that just doesn't seem to match. That takes a lot of force for it to work. Because what's going to happen is you forcing something that's not meant to just work it's going to keep you in a state of unhappiness because you're seeing that you're trying so hard to make something work that is not meant to work. And so I know this is maybe easier said than done, and you may be having a hard time to actually implement this into your life. But think about it like this. Do you want what's for you, or do you want to force what's for you? It may sound like, okay, I want to force what's for me because I want it. You know, if I want it, it should be right. I should have it. It sounds like that. But if it's not working and it's not coming to you, it's not for you. So when you just relax and don't force it, and relax and let what's going to come to you, you may find that it's better than what you were trying to force. And that's happened, I was going to say almost all the time, but every single time that it's happened. It may not come right away, but I realized that once I just let go of what I'm really wanting to be, I get better. Because it's like, that's what's meant for you. Well, something that's meant for you is going to be better than what you're trying to force. You hear what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? So just try that. When I stop forcing so much shit and stop trying, that was with past relationships, just anything in general. When I just stop trying to force it and just let go, because I realized that I miss out when I hold on. Not when, wait, did I say that right? I realized that I miss out, yes, when I hold on. And I'm not missing out by letting go. Meaning that thing you're trying to hold on so tight to, you're thinking this is it. I want it so bad. I don't want to miss out on it. If it's a person, you're thinking, what if they change? And you think you're going to miss out on something. But think about all the things that are trying to get to you that's better for you can't get to you because you're holding on over here. And you're not making room for what wants to come. And so it's like having a sense of surrendering. Surrendering sounds scary, especially when you're used to trying to control things. Maybe that's been your survival technique, or your survival tactic, And so if you're used to trying to control the outcome, you want to control it because you think that's, you know more. You don't know more than God. You don't know more than the universe, whatever you want to call it. You don't know more. Think about it. It's like it can be so many things trying to get to you, and it cannot be expecting them. And it can be so much better. So just try it. Look at it with curiosity and see, I wonder what else is out there for me. And be open to receive it. So when you're in that state of happiness, like I said before, you're showing and you're actually working on your happiness. You're finding gratitude in the small things. You're changing your aura. You're changing the state of your being. And you're you're actually in a state to receive. And so if you're in a state to receive, that means you can let go. That's also putting you in a state to receive. And so then you're allowing the happiness to come in. Not the happiness. You're not allowing the happiness to come in. You're allowing, other things to come in for you. That's what I'm trying to say. Let's get into number 3. Number 3. This one is my favorite, and I abide by it in my everyday life. It's doing you. Like, do you. So, what I mean by this, doing you is having your own set of standards for your life. Not going by society standards, your mama or daddy standards, uncle, relatives, friends, whoever standards. It's you doing what you feel is best for you, although it may not look like it's the best for someone else. Although it may be different than what someone else is doing. It's doing you because it feels right for you in your life. And what I mean by having your own set of standards is make sure those standards align with what you want out of life. That's what I started to realize. So it's not saying that, your standards got to be high or low or whatever. I'm not here to judge what your standards are. It's you basically implementing standards for your life that fit your life, however that may look. And it may be hard for some to, do this, especially if you've been in a state of mindset of trying to always live up to someone else's standards. You were told to do that. Maybe your parents were very strict on you about their standards. And so now it's just stuck in your head to do what they say. You're not even trying to venture out and do you and be your authentic self. So they can make you unhappy because you're trying to subscribe to a life that doesn't even really fit you. But you're thinking it's right, but you're really unhappy on the inside because it's not for you. You're trying to make everyone else happy, and you're in this state of, I'm trying to make everyone else happy. I'm nervous. I'm trying to make them happy. Oh, I want to make. It's like people pleasing. And so when you're in that state of people pleasing or subscribing to someone else's way of life or implementing someone else's standards, you're not doing you. And when you're not doing you, at least when I wasn't doing me, I was not the happiest. And I can say that doing this work that I do, it allowed me to do more of me. And what I mean by that is that there are so many people that have something to say about everything that I do and post. Some days are better than others, some weeks, as well, to where I'm not getting any backlash or anything. But it's always going to be somebody to say some shit to you. It's always going to be somebody to say, why you're doing it that way. That doesn't make sense. I don't feel that way. People are going to always be giving their thoughts and trying to, I guess, shame you. I don't know. And what I've come to find is that helps me with this, is that people often project. And not just project in the way of like, they have, let me just explain what I mean in this way. So projection, I'm meaning in the sense of they're projecting their own perspective, their own standards that they believe to be true. It's almost in a self-righteous type of way. And so when people, say there's someone over here that believes that, the standard should be this, you should be this, and it should be that. I believe that this is that and that. And sometimes what they do is they take their perspective and they think it should be applied to everyone. And so sometimes you can get caught up in that as well, thinking, okay, I need to be like them. But does it fit you? Does it feel right to you? That's something that you should question yourself. So when you're doing you, you're not afraid of who else around you is not on the same page as you or doing you like you do you. You can have your own set of standards for your life. Like, I can't tell y'all how many times someone has tried to call me lazy for using delivery services for my groceries, food, everything. I'm like, okay, I had to get in my own mindset that that's not what it is. I cannot basically go off of what someone else says about that. And I have to know myself. So when you know yourself, you're able to do you because you're not worried about people's projections. You start to realize they are just projections and not real. But if you don't have a good sense of self, you're going to believe that those projections on you are, real. You're going to internalize it because you're not really in you. You're not really doing you. You're not really being your authentic self. So after all of that, when people were saying, that it's lazy to do that, I'm seeing all these things. People on Facebook talking about it. People making long think pieces about how it's lazy and people should be doing that. I thought to myself, like, I know that I'm not lazy when I do it because I had groceries delivered earlier while I was in my office working. That saves so much time for me, and it helps me to not feel so dysfunctional, I guess, so to speak, because to me, it takes a lot out of me to go to the grocery store and shop, be around all these people when I can be spending, that's spend hours in there. And so it's not that I'm trying to explain it now. I'm just trying to get you to work your mind around how it's so important that when you're doing you, that you're not letting people's projections affect how you do you, is what I'm saying. Because if you do, then you're not going to really be doing you. You're going to be kind of like doing them. And you're going to be lost in it and not feeling very fulfilled or happy with yourself because you're not being yourself. You're not doing what feels right to you. You're trying to do what everyone else is saying, and you're worried about their projections. But I'm telling you, once you get out of your mindset that those projections have nothing to do with you, you'll be all right. That leads me into number 4, caring about what people think. Don't do it. That says, you may think that's easier said than done, but it's really not, because you can't care about what people think to where it affects how you are in the world and how you be yourself. Because what people think it's mainly coming from their perspective. And if you're in a state of constantly caring what someone thinks about you, then you're gonna be unhappy, because it's like you're constantly taking in everything someone else is saying, and you're internalizing it to be true for you. And what they're saying could not be true, but because they're saying and you care about what people think, you believe it's true. So that goes with do you. So that goes without saying. Number 5, stop trying to change people in their minds. That's number 5. Reason why I say that is because, like I said before, everyone has their own perspective and opinion. So I remember I was caring a lot about what people were. Well, I cared a lot about changing people's mind. And I did it without even realizing that I was doing it. Let me explain. So I felt like I needed people to agree with me on certain things. Just a lot of things, I'll be honest. And one of the main triggers was Facebook for me. For some reason, Facebook just has a whole bunch of people opinions, think pieces. It's nothing like Instagram where you just see pictures and quick stuff and you can scroll through. On Facebook, for some reason, I was being triggered the most. And I didn't realize it until I sat back and realized that, okay, every time I'm on here, I'm leaving feeling disgruntled and unhappy and triggered and just frazzled. And while it's okay to be triggered sometimes, because it allows you to go deep within and allows you to actually do the work, these were triggers like they want the triggers that were the healthy ones, if you will. These triggers to me were like causing me to not think for myself anymore, causing me to feel like what I thought was wrong. It was just a lot. And so I'm not on there as much anymore. If I'm on there, I'm posting reels because I get paid for that. That's about it. I do a little scrolling. That's about it. Whenever I feel myself getting triggered or I'm seeing too many different opinions and too much bullshit, I get off. So I'm not on there nearly as much as I used to be. And so when you have the need to change people's mind or to people be in agreement with you, that can leave you unhappy because people are not going to think like you. But in my mindset, what I thought I made that mean was that, okay, so the way that I'm thinking must be wrong. The way that I feel must not be right. Or I needed someone to agree with me so that I can feel good about the decision and the standard or whatever I had set for myself. And once you kind of let go of needing that, you do become happier. And it's not. So what I'm trying to say is that you can't change anyone's mind. You can't make anyone be in agreement with you. But you can either accept their disagreement and allow you to grow from it or learn from it if you want. Or you can keep your own mindset and put a filter on and realize when someone is coming from a place of their own perspective. Something that I've really, really implemented is that everyone has their own perspective. Everyone. And their perspective is the reality. It just is. Your perspective is your reality. My perspective is my reality. And there's nothing wrong with your reality. It's just going to be different. Like, there is no one way to be happy. There is not like a pamphlet somewhere that it's a one size fit all. Like, this is what you do. Everyone does this to be happy. And if you notice that the things that I'm going through are ways for you to find the happiness within you and to implement it and cultivate it in your life for you. And as far as trying to change people's minds, I just let it go. And it did take me some calming down, I guess, especially when some things would just be outlandish. What I guess I started to also realize is the perspective thing. And I also started to think about the person that was relaying the information and checking the source. And when I was checking the source of people and checking and realizing that, okay, they're just coming from their own perspective and they're projecting it and that's how they feel and it's just dead on that. Like, for example, y'all know that I do, talk about toxic relationships and all that. It's some women and men and people out there that do not understand why someone would stay in a toxic relationship. Their thing is, why don't they just leave? Why don't they just do this and this and that? And that got me to thinking, like, not everyone thinks the same. Not everyone was raised the same. That's the main thing. And so some people won't understand it. They'll just say, why don't you just leave? But if you've never been in it, if you were raised, with parents that were able to emotionally connect with you and whatnot, you're not going to understand why someone would stay in something like that. Or if you've never been in it. Some people just, don't have that problem. So it's hard for them to understand why someone else just stays in that. And that's because we all have our own perspectives. I'm not here to change those people's mind. I realize that I'm more so here to help those that have the same things that they've gone through, because I've gone through them, to help you have someone that understands that. So I'm not trying to change anyone's mind unless they want their mind to change. But once you more so focus on just letting whatever your perspective is be, just let it be, just let it be. And it's what you feel is enough. That's what I like. That's the terminology I like to use when you're thinking about enough. Like, what you feel, who you are, all of that is enough. You don't need anybody else out there to tell you that, okay, yeah, what you're saying is right, or I agree. You don't need anyone to agree with you. You can feel it on your own. You are enough. What you feel and what you think is enough. Simple as that. Number 6, I think we're on. Let go of expectations. Expectations can look like expectations for anything in life. I've found that when you can always have high standards, but have low to no expectations. And here's why I say this. So, expectations, I find, can be very disappointing, because you can have something in your mind of how you want it to go. You're expecting it to go a certain way, whether it's relationship, whether it's something you're trying to do creatively, or whether it's anything that you have in your mind that you're expecting to be a certain way. I don't have many examples, but just think about something that you've had expectations for. So, when you let go of the expectations and just let what's going to be, you find that you're happier, because whatever comes your way is going to be better than what you expected, because you had little to no expectations. And a big example that I can think of off the top of my head is that one of my homegirls a few years ago had a birthday celebration, and it was going to be something different than what we ever done. And even she said the other day when we were chatting that she didn't have really many expectations for it. And I actually thought that it was going to be just okay, not that much fun. Not saying that, oh, we have a boring time. But I guess what I was saying is that since it was different, I wasn't sure how it was going to go. It was what you call like a bar crawl, and where you go to different bars around downtown. And it was cold outside. It was like December, but it wasn't like freezing cold. I had on like a sweater and whatnot. And so, of course, I'm going to show up because it's for my friend, for her birthday. I'm going to show up. And me and my husband, actually, we all went. It was like a whole big gang of us. So we all went. I had no expectations of how this is going to go. But, y'all, we still talk about that birthday to this day because of how much fun we unexpectedly had. And so it's like, since you weren't expecting it to be anyway, and was actually expecting it to go not be that fun, it exceeded your expectations because your expectations were low. And so it exceeded everything, and it just made me that much happier. That's just one example. Like, we still talk about how much fun we had. One of the different bars. We did hookah at one of these lounges. We all had like our Christmas sweaters on, walking around downtown. It was fun. It like we had, and then we went and ate sushi at the end. That was unexpected. We just did a lot of unexpected shit that was kind of spontaneous, and so that made me happy. That made her happy as well. It was like she said it was one of her best birthdays ever, and we're in our 30s. That was like about 2 years ago, and so what I'm saying is that once you kind of let go of the expectations and allow what will be to be, you can't help but be happy with the outcome. You can't help but, that's putting you in a state to receive. Like sometimes, well, mostly all the time, what you expect is not going to be better than what is actually going to come to you. So when you have no expectations, that means you're leaving it open for so many different things to come to you and create happiness. So when you have these expectations, I mean 100% of the time, expectations have left me disappointed because it doesn't go exactly how I expected. And almost every single time, I'm left unhappy, disappointed, unfulfilled, all of that. But I find that when I just remain open, release expectations, and of course you can have your standards. Like say it's dating, you can have your standards. That means that more than likely whoever you meet, you're not expecting them to be the one, but you're keeping your standards up so that you can see and vet this person out. Then that's different because you have no expectations and you're going in with an open heart, open mind. So it's the same thing. Like it's hard to have your feelings hurt. It's hard to be unhappy with having no expectations, because you're gonna always get something that's gonna meet and exceed your no expectations. So number 7, I believe I'm on. I'm trying to keep count. Number 7, don't overanalyze people's actions. How this makes you happy? It takes you out of a state of being so hyper vigilant that you believe everyone is out to hurt you or get you. So this one is a little bit deeper, and let me try to explain. What I mean by don't overanalyze people's actions, I'm meaning don't fill in the space or fill in the story with your own narrative. If anything, you can ask them what they meant by what they said or their actions instead of filling it in yourself. Because the story you tell yourself cannot be true and can just trigger you and make you more unhappy. So, my thing is, and especially being an empath, I've learned to, if someone has not told me directly with their own mouth and with their own words what they mean or what they're wanting to say, or if they haven't told me any of the things, I'm not going to sit there and try to overanalyze it and think what they mean or what they're trying to say or what they're thinking or anything like that. I'm not going to do the thinking for them. I allow them, if someone has a problem with me, or I'm not going to, overanalyze it and try to go home and think about it like they probably have a problem with this and this and that and that. No. I'm going to assume that there's no problem if no one has said anything. And you may be thinking, okay, that sounds a little, I don't want to say cruel, but when you think about it, it's taking you out of the state of doing the work for everyone else. Like, once you learn how to speak up and be assertive about what's going on with you, that takes you out of the state of feeling so resentful, and that can aid to your happiness as well. And it's because you're not in the business of doing people's emotional labor for them. If someone got a problem with you, or someone wants to say something to you, or anything like that, instead of you overanalyzing it, let them come to you. That's how you work that. It's because you can sit there all day long and be in this state of, trying to figure out why they did what they did, why they said what they said, why this and that and that. You can either ask them or let it fly. That's how I look at it. I'm no longer in the business of trying to think for everyone or think what that meant or think what they mean by that. Either I ask them or I stop being so hypervigilant and let it go. Simple as that. Where we on? Number 8. Number 8. Letting the truth set you free. And what I mean by this is the truth of who you are, allowing it to set you free. Like, sometimes we can hold on to who we're trying to be, or who others want us to be, or maybe there's some type of shame blocking who we are from fully emerging and coming out. And so that shame, it pushes down the truth because we're afraid to live in our truth. And so when you're not living in your truth, deep down, you're disgruntled with life, resentful and unhappy. And you're everything but in a happy state, because you feel so much shame wrapped around who you are and how you go about doing things and living life. And so what I mean by letting the truth set you free is discovering the truth of who you are. If it takes you working through the shame, which now that I'm talking about it, a lot of the shame can probably come from other people, and it's making you internalize it. This is one of the reasons why this one is kind of last, because all the other things help you to do you, set your own standards, so you're not internalizing so much, and you're getting to know you for you and accept you for you. That's you accepting your truth and not allowing others' so-called truths to penetrate you, and not allowing you to internalize what they say. So what I mean by the truth is setting you free and making you feel happier. It puts you in a state of like a weight's being lifted off of you, because it's like no one can no longer make you feel bad about who you are. No one can no longer make you feel like shameful for who you are, what you've been through, what you've done. You're now making peace with the truth. And this can be really hard, I'll admit, but it can be done. And it takes steps by steps. It takes help. You can reach out to a therapist or coaching. I do coaching. The link is below on my Patreon. You can actually do journal work. Anything that helps you to like own your truth. Because when you own your truth, no one can hold it against you or like dangle it over your head and make you feel shameful for it. Because it's like now you're living authentically in it. And it's like setting you free. It can be any little thing or any big thing even. Like, that's why it's important to do the work. Do the healing work. And you don't have to be healed, but healing. And once you actually do the work, especially on, you know, letting the truth set you free, you feel freer. You do. And I'm trying to think of an example for me. And I couldn't think of one, but I know this is what I did. I know that me just making peace with who I am and my truths just made me feel lighter and happier. Because I'm like, if no one else accepts it, I do. I guess something that you can start with is anything that someone tried to make you believe about yourself and make you feel shameful for about yourself. You can take it and put your truth to it and what it means for you. Like, I guess we can go back to the example of me getting food and grocery delivery. So many people in the world think that that's laziness. And so what I did was, the truth of the matter for me was that it can come off lazy to some people that maybe are not used to it. From the people that were raised to think that that was lazy, that's their perspective. They think that, you know, having a life of ease means laziness. But I realized for me, I want the easiest life possible, because that's what makes me feel good. That's what makes me not feel so overwhelmed. That's what I'm getting at. So when you don't feel so overwhelmed, that's my truth for me. Like me, like if I had to go out and get food to eat all the time, or I had to go in the grocery store and do all of that, and plus come back home and cook and do my work in here, because this work that I do now can take hours of editing. getting videos out, posting, all of that. And I'm like, that's a lot out of me. And if that makes me lazy, then so be it. But that's their opinion. When you are living in your truth and you know yourself and you accept yourself and not what the hell everybody else saying, then that will make you happy. Like, that's what I mean by the truth will set you free. It's like you are creating your truths and you are owning your truths. And just take time to do that, y'all. Just, this one is really special to me, I guess, because so many people tried to label me so many different things. And all I did was I took the time to, I guess, dissect them and what they mean for myself. And I got to know myself. There's so many things. I can't think of all of them off the top of my head, but I know there's a lot. Like, I've been called too emotional. That I was a crybaby. Growing up, that I cried a lot. But the truth of the matter that set me free was realizing that I was always sensitive. Maybe I just didn't have the people around me that could nurture my sensitivity. And so once you are like, it's like you're switching things up and you're owning the truth of the matter instead of what someone else wants to just give you and tell you. You know, it's like putting a filter on the shit. And you are letting your own truth set you free. The truth of the matter for everything. Like, you're not lying to yourself anymore about things. And you're not accepting anyone else's lies either. So, these things, like I said, can sound like they're a little deep when it comes to being happy. But to me, that's the shit that matters. The deep shit to be happy. Because I'm like, I can say anything. Because think about it. Happiness is like, it's like a state of being. A mindset. It's not something you can go out and actually get. Because you can be rich as hell, have everything you want, have the partner you want, the marriage you want, the kids you want, the house you want, and still be unhappy. And the reason being is because you haven't gone through the shit on this list that I'm telling you about. The deep shit. You haven't got to the root of it. You're trying to get things to cover up what you're feeling, thinking it's going to make you happy, it's going to make you happy. But the more and more you get, you're just still unhappy because you haven't got to the root of things. I believe in getting to the root of things. You for sure can be happy where you're at. Like, I get excited sometimes just out of nowhere because I'm just happy to be in the state that I'm in. I just keep thinking about how I've always, like, dreamed of these days where, like I said earlier in the podcast, where I'm getting paid for what I'm doing. I'm doing the work that I love every day. And that's another one. Like, what is that? Number 9? Number 9, doing what you love. Like, do more of the things that you love regardless of what anybody says. That's one I almost left out. What is on my list? Doing more of the things you love can include you finding new hobbies, you finding new things, you going back to things you did in your childhood. Anything that brings you some type of happiness, do it. For me, it can be simple as doing this work. I love doing this work. I love doing what I'm good at. Like, the more you do what you're good at, the better fulfillment and contentment you'll feel. The happier you'll feel because you're actually seeing you in the work that you're doing. You're actually filling you up with things that make you feel good on the inside. It can be anything. Like, I like listening to music. I like doing the videos. I like the work that I do on my Instagram posting. Like, and I do these things every single day, even if it's just for a little bit of time. No matter what it is, do it every single day. Do a little, and then try to pick up things that you're good at. You may think that it may not make you happy, or you may think that it's so small, it's not going to make any changes. But I'm telling you, something that I've learned also is that the motivation does not ever come before. The motivation comes after. So you may not be feeling like that you want to do this, or this ain't going to work, or I don't want to do this. But if you just try it, if you just start, you may see the motivation come afterwards, not before. So that's something I just wanted to throw in as well. So I think that's all I got for that one. Alright, so number 10 for me is connecting and having more meaningful relationships. I've had meaningful relationships for a pretty large duration of my life. And so I kind of like let it slip my mind. But I am grateful for the people. But I had to think about like, okay, that's what makes me happy. Being around my friends, being around, good family, and having good times with them and connecting with them. So the thing that matters the most to make these relationships meaningful is when you are around them, connect with them if you can. I'm not saying to force a connection, but don't be afraid to be a little vulnerable, be a little transparent, go a little deep. So that means having people around you that you feel you can be that way with. Like, even if you go to, when I'm gonna make my example. Even when I go to my friends with something that is a little heavy, some news that I want to share, or something that I want their opinion on, something that's been bothering me in my personal life and I want their take on it, anything like that. I feel and I find that when I go to them, even in that state of, I guess, quote unquote, being a little unhappy in that moment, I leave feeling happier because it's like I can release with them. And it's the same with all of us. We all release and we give. So it's not like just one person releasing and dumping. It goes all in where, okay, I release, you release, I give, and you give. So it's like this. It's not just release, dumping and dumping. You get what I'm saying? And so that makes for a meaningful relationship. And when you have meaningful relationships in your life, you feel a sense of more happiness and peace. And say if you don't have really anyone in your life that you can have a meaningful relationship with right now, I'm not saying to go and just find someone to depend on. That's not what I'm meaning here. What I'm meaning is, for you, maybe it could mean getting out more. Maybe doing what you love more. And then when you're around the people that love what you do as well, you can connect with them on that. It's finding something to connect with someone on. Like, even if, dare I say, you go out alone somewhere, or you go out to a restaurant. Even, I remember, no, I'm not going to give that example. One example I want to give is that, like, every single time I've gone to a concert, granted, I've gone with my now husband. When we were dating, that's what we used to do a lot. Haven't been to a concert in a while due to COVID and all of that, but yes. So every time we've ever gone to a concert, we've always made, I guess, quote unquote, real associates with the people around us. Talking about the music, talking about this or that and the other. Always connected with someone around us, always. And it's because we're all there doing something we love. We're all happy in that moment. We're happy. We're like, oh, I hope they sing this song, that song. And I'm not saying that you can go in and be like, hey, let's hang out sometime. You ain't got to be weird about it. But sometimes it can kind of ease into that. So don't be afraid to do things like that. To get yourself out there or surround yourself in groups. Even if, say, you're an introvert and you like being at home. If you're on the video game, like some people like to do, or if you're doing some computers, TikTok community, whatever. Connect with people in any way that you see that you can. I think what's missing from a lot of people's lives and making them feel more lonelier than they should feel is the connection with the people they already have in their life. Meaning, like, if you have good people in your life now, connect with them. And if you can't, then don't be afraid to venture out and find new people to connect with. Friends, people that like the same hobby as you, people that, like, say if you like to paint, you go find somewhere to go paint. And if you're doing it alone, you may find yourself talking to people around you, to next to you. Whatever you're doing, just basically doing you, enjoying life, like actually doing you out in the world or wherever you do. And then people that are around you, not being afraid to connect, not being afraid to be a little transparent, not be afraid to be open, and just connect. Those meaningful connections, I can't believe I almost forgot that. That really made the difference. And it makes me happy. Like, I may not have every single thing I want in my life, but I can always look forward to hanging out with my friends, doing something fun, or having a meaningful connection and connecting on something. Even with y'all on my Instagram page. I'm connecting with y'all every single day. I comment just about on everybody. Sometimes the comments can get out of hand. I have like thousands of comments. I can't get to all of them. But I love connecting with y'all. Y'all always say that, I really appreciate, you really appreciate me and make you not feel so alone, y'all do the same for me. A lot of the shit that I talk about on there, I thought only I had gone through it, because they like to put that stigma on women that have been through toxic relationships. And so I always felt I was alone, and I always felt not ashamed, but kind of outcasted. And so with this social media thing kind of on the uprise, and me starting sharing my story, where I've been doing this since 2017, I think. And so it's just like connecting with all these people. I just love it, because it's like, it makes you not feel so small in the world. So if you can, maybe you can't go out and connect with people, but connect with people in another way, you know. And something I want to add that may prevent you from connecting with people is if you're trying to find a way to, I don't want to say use them, maybe if you're dependent on them. If you're dependent on them, meaning you're dependent on them acting a certain way, being a certain way, saying or doing certain things, like, or you're dependent on them to take your loneliness away, and you're really, really needing them, that can take the connection out of it. Because now you're not there to really connect and form a meaningful connection. You're there to see if they can, you know, fulfill your needs, and because you're codependent on them. So I find that can stop a lot of people from having meaningful connections, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense with that, because it's like, it's just, think about it. I mean, if you're not able to connect with someone with who they are, or you're not able to accept them for who they are, or when you're meeting people, you're looking at how, I mean, I'm just going to say that, how you can use them, basically. How they can be useful in your life, or how they can make you not feel lonely, or not make you this and that. You're going to miss the connection. Maybe you're trying to speed past that part and just get to, I need someone, that you're missing out on the actual transparency and connection with building with someone. And so once you take that out, that's why it takes, you know, some healing and some self-work to get to that point. But try to work on building meaningful connections, like real, genuine, meaningful connections, to where it's just so important to you and you're important to them, and it's just, yeah. But I think that's all. And one other little thing I want to add that kind of is nice, just like a little bonus one, it's going to be quick, is just being nice to others, giving to others, or giving compliments, whatever. I find that makes me feel like really good. Like, just like if I'm out, like saying, you don't have to be, I'm not an extrovert, but I'm saying, if you see someone that has on a cute outfit, I like your outfit, that's cute. Now, granted, you may not get the response you're looking for, but don't expect that. That's, you know, I said that in here, don't expect it. But it just feel good to just give it anyway. Like, to just give happiness. And for me, it does, at least. And it can be in any small thing. Just paying more compliments. Just connecting with people. Even in, like, if you're in Target or something, and you're in the Kindall aisle, or the Home Goods, or whatever aisle, and you're in there and you see someone looking at the same thing, a little quick connection, like, yeah, you know, this and that and that. I'm an introvert, but sometimes I do that if it comes naturally, and I don't feel like it's like I'm trying to force someone to talk to me, or they're trying to force me to talk to them. If it's just, you know, it just flows into that. Even if it's a brief moment, that brings happiness. It's like, oh, I like talking to them. I've left some things and been like, I like that. So try that as well. So I know these 10 things were a little different than what you probably may have read. Maybe it's the same. I don't know what you've seen. But for me, these are all the things that help me to be happier right now and to maintain my happiness. Because it's like, I've realized you can't really place your happiness on getting things or having things, or on all the things you don't have yet, saying I'll be happier when I have this, or happier with this, or happier when I get that. Like, I want to be happy now. I want to feel good now with where I'm at. And that makes the journey that much easier and feel that much better, you know? So, for girlfriends and everybody else on YouTube, I think that's all I got. Now, as you know, if I have anything bonus or extra I want to add, even though I took a lot of time to get this together, I may have some bonus content. If I do, it'll be on my Patreon. But on my Patreon right now, I have hundreds of episodes. And the Patreon is more so, it can be deeper things, and it can be things about my actual relationship, things that I want to put on YouTube. And it's also just spur of the moment thoughts that I'm turning into a podcast, and I say, like, because on here I had to get ready, set up, makeup, all that, and I'm planning it. Patreon is unplanned, and it's just raw, whatever I have and to say, and I'm feeling it, I'm jumping on and I'm saying it, recording it, and it's a lot of good stuff. And sometimes I've shared one here that was from that Patreon for my girlfriend membership. And that was the one about self-acceptance and it's self-love. That one seemed to do really well in the community, on my Patreon community, so I decided to share it here. So every now and then, maybe once a month or so like that, I may take one of the good ones that everyone seems to love on there and bring it over here on YouTube and just do it that. But maybe not. So check me out there, and I also have one-on-one coaching there as well. Check me out on my Instagram. It's I've Been That Girl 2. Check me out on TikTok. That's I've Been That Girl. And yeah, that's all I got. So until the next podcast episode, girlfriends and everybody else on YouTube, peace out.